Hey folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I just wanted to share a couple of easy shapes to get you started on using the melodic minor scale in your playing. Now if you're not familiar with it, the melodic minor scale is simply just a major scale with a flat third. Okay, so we get 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So just a flat 3, all the other notes stay the same. And really, it's that natural 6 and natural 7 that really give it this distinct and odd sound with many interesting applications. Now, it's a very popular sound in jazz music, so it's useful to have reliable go-to ways to access it. And if you've watched any of my harmonic analysis videos or some of my other lessons, you've heard me mention the harmonic minor scale quite a bit without much specific demonstration or showing you any figures or shapes. So hopefully after watching this video, you'll have some things to use when a song calls for the melodic minor scale. And frankly, I'm not even going to go too deep into the theory or analyze the modes of melodic minor or anything like that. This video is just going to be nice and simple, some cool things to play that hopefully you can take and start using immediately. So let's get started. All right, so here's the first shape. I'm going to use G melodic minor, and I get this. Okay, one more time. So this is just an arpeggio starting on the root of the scale. I'm just playing thirds up and down. In this case, it turns out to be a G minor 9 major 7th. And I'll tell you what, let's actually add one more note onto the bottom, and we get that E down there. So it kind of forms a nice box shape, convenient to play and remember on the guitar. So yes, this is actually an arpeggio rather than a scale, but we do have 6 of the 7 notes from the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you wanted to throw in the 7th note, you can just go down one more third or up, one more third and get that C on the top or bottom. But for right now, I'm just going to stick to these 6 notes in this box shape for convenience. And I think arpeggios are more interesting than scales. So for melodic minor, I teach students to explore the sound using this shape. And the thing about this particular arpeggio is it captures the essence of melodic minor just perfectly, It's got all the great, color tones in there. And if you listen to a lot of jazz solos, you'll notice that when players use the melodic minor scale, they typically base their lines around this very arpeggio or this shape, no matter what instrument they're playing. So this is a good one to default to. So for example, let's say I have a C7 chord and I want to get a Lydian dominant sound, which is a pretty common use for the melodic minor. Well, that would be G melodic minor over a C7 chord, and I get this. All right, so there's that Lydian dominant sound. That sharp 11, over a dominant 7th chord. And so instead of going to a C7 chord, if I see a C7 on paper, instead of thinking like a C7 arpeggio, I'm thinking a little more advanced and going straight to that G minor arpeggio. Get all those nice color tones. And yeah, eventually you can fill in the rest of the notes of the scale, little by little. Find some other, licks and things to play, kind of around this shape. And I'm not saying ignore the full scale shapes. You obviously want to learn them eventually. But I think just starting, with this arpeggio is, again, a little more interesting and immediately applicable. It sounds very jazzy. It's a very cool shape to kind of mess around with, and just get the sound in your ear rather than looking at a scale on paper and just trying to memorize it. Because that way you often end up just playing scales rather than improvising. All right, let's look at another shape. So I am going to shift my hand up to the 5th fret here, start with my first finger, and I'm going to get this. Okay. It's another arpeggio. Well, it's actually the same arpeggio, just, I'm really just reaching up one more note here. Get that high C up there. And frankly, if you really wanted to, you could come all the way down and reach over and get that low E on the A string, and that way you get all 7 notes from the scale, in this one arpeggio. So there you have it. So we get these 2 cool shapes. Again, over like a C7 chord would give you Lydian dominant. And you can mix up the notes a little. And again, eventually you're going to fill in the rest of the notes in the scale, around these shapes. Now here's a cool little trick I like to use to move between these 2 shapes. So from the low one up to the high one, you can just shift back and forth. That sounds fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a string of notes in the melodic minor scale that form a part of a whole tone scale. And if you've fooled around with the whole tone scale before on guitar, you'll know that it works really conveniently on the G and the B strings. We get these little groups of 4 notes that are just really convenient to play. You can mix them up, experiment. The fingering's super convenient. So when we think about the melodic minor scale, like if I'm in G melodic minor, I would get this. So there's my whole tone shape starting from the B flat, and there we go. So I can use these little groupings as kind of like a pathway between, let's see. Between those 2 arpeggio shapes. And I always thought that's kind of cool, just a, an interesting way to move rather than shifting. And again, you can come up with different patterns. Whatever works for you, but I like to take advantage of that kind of little extra shape in there, and create some interesting lines going back and forth like that. So just something to mess around with. These 2 arpeggios are also available on the middle set of strings. So you'd be starting from the A string, and that would look like this. There's the first one, and here's the second one. Okay, so in fact, these shapes on the starting from the A string, you may even find those easier to play. They're the same exact notes, same sound as the ones we were doing down here, but slightly different feel, different shape for the left hand, and a slightly darker tone on the guitar, you know, up higher on the neck, middle set of strings. So those are just some things to take into consideration. The other thing is you don't have this convenient little whole tone, you know, path. Up here, you can still find the notes. The fingering's just, you know, not quite as easy as the lower positions. But one advantage to these shapes is if you're trying to play them, you know, quickly, maybe with some sweep picking. These shapes are much easier to sweep pick, in my opinion. So you can have some fun with that if you'd like. Now I'm just going to run through a handful of melodic minor sounds using licks based around the shapes we talked about. I hope you find these shapes useful in your exploration of melodic minor. I will say that I have many other cool arpeggio and scale forms that I like to use on a regular basis, and I'll be going over those in an extended version of this lesson available on my Patreon page. So if you're interested in the finer details of my playing style, then definitely head over there and check it out. I also have full-length video lessons on some of my solo jazz guitar arrangements, as well as chord sheets and some tabs. So I'd really appreciate your support. You can find the link down in the description box. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to leave your thoughts or questions down in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you next time.